Each of the 9 Titans has a name to describe it, and that includes the one you're about to inherit from me. Throughout history, this Titan's marched in the vanguard. It has ever pushed forward, seeking freedom. And for freedom's sake, it fights. Therefore, it's called the Attack Titan.
Hello everyone. Welcome back to Sansan, Best Anime Reaction. We've finally reached the final episode of Attack on Titan Season 3, and the journey so far has been absolutely incredible. Last episode left us with lingering tension and a sense that everything has changed, even if the characters haven't fully realized it yet. In this finale, I expect reflection, emotional closure, and powerful setup for what's coming next. Season 3 has transformed Attack on Titan into a much deeper and more complex story. I'm excited and nervous to see how this chapter ends and what it promises for the future. Let's begin episode 22 and close out Season 3 together.
Eren has commanded pure Titans once in the past to escape from a dire situation.
If someone with royal blood is turned into a Titan, then it might be possible for me to use the founding Titan's powers while touching them. But if the military knew it was a possibility, what would they do to Historia?
Build a family. Be it your wife, your child, or even a stranger. Love someone in those walls. If you can't do that, it'll only repeat itself. This cruel history, these foolish mistakes, they'll repeat. You have to see this through. Complete your mission and save Mikasa and Armin.
Mikasa? Armin? Who are they?
I don't know. They aren't from my memories.
Our foe is the world. That information should stay in this room. If it became public knowledge, there'd be chaos.
Yes, I concur. Regrettably, we can't let this get out till we fully grasp the situation.
Shall we deceive the people once more? That's what you're suggesting, right? That we keep our citizens complacent and blind as the late king did? If we do that, then by what ideals did we oppose King Rice? What right did we have to seize his crown?
Then let's announce it. It's only fair. This is information that the people once knew.
Alright, grab a seat, maybe some popcorn, and emotionally prepare yourself, because we're about to revisit one of the most quietly devastating, philosophically heavy, and sneakily important episodes in all of Attack on Titan. Season 3, Episode 22, also known as The Other Side of the Wall. And yes, despite the calm title, this episode is basically the anime equivalent of standing at the edge of the world and realizing everything you believed 5 minutes ago has already expired. So let's talk about what actually happens here, why it matters so much, and why this episode feels less like an ending and more like the moment when the floor politely excuses itself and disappears beneath your feet. We open not with explosions, not with Titans screaming, but with something far more dangerous in Attack on Titan's universe: peace. For the first time in what feels like a geological era, the scouts are alive, breathing, and not actively being chewed on. Shiganshina has been reclaimed. Wall Maria, the symbol of humanity's greatest loss, is finally back under human control. This should feel like victory, right? Cue the fireworks, roll the credits, everyone retires and opens a bakery. But no, this is Attack on Titan. Happiness is always suspicious. The mood is strange from the start. It's calm, but not joyful. It's quiet, but not comforting. The surviving members of the Scout Regiment are standing in a city that once represented utter despair, and now, it just feels hollow. And that emptiness is important, because this episode is all about what happens after the dream comes true. Armin, our golden boy with the big brain and bigger existential dread, is the emotional anchor here. He looks around Shiganshina and realizes something deeply unsettling. This place was supposed to be the goal. Reclaim the wall, defeat the enemy, restore humanity's land. That was the dream. And now that they've done it, nobody feels fulfilled. There's no triumphant speech, no overwhelming sense of, we did it. Instead, there's an awkward silence, like when you finish a massive project and suddenly remember you still don't know what you want to do with your life. And this is where Attack on Titan quietly shifts genres. Up until now, it's been a survival.
Before my predecessors stole it from them. As the people of the walls, all of us will share the same fate. Which is why we must now unite as one, and work together.
The monstrous titans that have menaced us so are in fact human. They're known as subjects of Ymir, or Eldians, and we share a common ancestry. When our king erected these walls 100 years ago, he altered our memories using titan powers, so as to make us think that beyond the walls, humanity had gone extinct. In truth, there are countless people beyond the walls, but when it comes to us subjects of Ymir, they believe that we are a race of devils. In the near future, the enemy will invade our lands in order to obtain the resources beneath us. Their plans began 5 years ago, when they used the colossal titan to breach Shiganshina.
I know the article's already published, but is all of this as credible as you claim?
At the very least, it addresses most of the doubts and questions that we've had this whole time. I know it's not the truth we would hope for, but it's what we have.
Appreciate it.
So, how are people taking the news?
It's a mixed bag. Some just accept it, some laugh it off, some lash out at the military and insist it's all a great conspiracy. Just as you feared, things have become somewhat chaotic.
Makes sense. But there's really no helping that. It's our job to explore and report our findings. The taxpayers can treat that information as they will. That's something we've improved since the king was deposed.
I couldn't be prouder of the work you've done.
Huh?
Not only as a citizen of the walls, but one working stiff to another.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. Then why don't you fluff us up a bit in the next article you write?
I have to ask, what happens to us now? We've looked at the Titans with fear, with hate, with the wish in our hearts that they would disappear forever. And now we've learned that this is how the people of the world look at us. We're not human to them. We're monsters. They'll attack us, just as they did before. Why wouldn't they? This hell will repeat itself until the last of us are dead.
Story. Humans versus monsters. Walls versus titans. Us versus them. But this episode gently taps you on the shoulder and says, hey, what if that was never the real conflict? As the scouts continue their mission beyond the wall, we get some surprisingly lighthearted moments. Jean cracks jokes. Connie acts like Connie. There's laughter. Real laughter. And it's almost uncomfortable because we're not used to seeing these characters relaxed. It's like watching war veterans on a picnic, trying to remember how normal humans behave. This isn't filler. This is deliberate. The show is letting us breathe before it takes that breath away forever. Then we reach the ocean. Now, let's pause here, because this scene is legendary, and not because of flashy animation or dramatic music. It's legendary because of what it means. For most of their lives, the ocean was a fairy tale. A myth. Something Armin read about in a book that felt as fictional as dragons or flying castles. Saltwater. Endless horizons. A world without walls. To Eren, Mikasa, and Armin as children, the ocean wasn't just a place. It was freedom itself, condensed into a single idea. And now they're standing in front of it. The reactions are beautiful in how different they are. Connie runs straight in like a golden retriever discovering water for the first time. Jean is skeptical, because of course he is. The others cautiously dip their toes in, half expecting the ocean to bite back. For a brief moment, it's pure joy. Childlike wonder. A reward long overdue. Armin is glowing. This was his dream. His book came to life. And for him, the ocean still represents possibility. Curiosity. The unknown in its most exciting form. But then there's Eren. And oh boy, Eren. While everyone else is laughing and splashing around, Eren is standing still, staring at the horizon like it personally offended him. He touches the water, but there's no joy in his expression. No awe, just a heavy, crushing realization. This is the moment when Eren Yeager stops being a character driven by dreams, and starts being driven by truth. Eren asks the question that completely redefines the series.
Well, if it isn't the brave heroes of the walls.
Hitch, surprised you came.
I just wanted to watch you guys get your medals.
I see. Marlowe was very brave, right to the end.
I know.
Isn't that right, Flock? You should tell her.
Yeah, sure. I rode right beside Marlowe. Just like me, he joined as an urgent recruit. But unlike me, he was brave and a natural leader. Our situation was hopeless. It seemed to us that the scouts were on the verge of ruin. Just as our fear was giving way to panic and despair, he stepped in and inspired us to push on.
Yeah?
He was an amazing person.
I know, and that's why... Well, it's probably why you never listened to me.
But in the end, I'm sure he wished that he'd never volunteered.
Thanks for that. I'll laugh if you guys screw up the ceremony.
Hey, why did you tell her that?
Because somebody has to speak the truth around here.
Listen, I heard about what you did, Flock. How hard you fought to ensure that Erwin would be revived.
That's right. You should be dead, and Erwin should stand in your place. I'm not alone in thinking that. All of us do. Everyone who read that report had the same thought. Why wasn't Erwin the one that was saved?
What do you know about Armin to justify saying that? Not a damn thing!
Yeah, you're right. I'm not a childhood friend of his. Hell, I'm not his friend at all. But I can still tell you why he's the one standing here now. It's because you two got emotional and Captain Levi did the same. You made an irrational choice. You treated that syringe like it was yours and wasted it. He's alive because you think your friends are more important than the rest of us.
All right. I think it's time you shut your mouth.
Eren, I bet even at your core, you're always completely certain that you're in the right. That's why you wouldn't give.
If we kill all our enemies over there, will we finally be free? And just like that, the ocean stops being beautiful. Because Eren now knows what lies beyond it. Thanks to Grisha's memories, thanks to the basement, thanks to the horrifying revelations about Marley and Eldians, the world beyond the sea isn't freedom. It's oppression. It's hatred. It's an entire civilization that wants them erased from existence. For Armin, the ocean is the start of exploration. For Eren, it's the edge of the battlefield. This difference in perspective is everything. This episode doesn't shout its themes. It whispers them. It lets silence do the talking. And that's what makes it so powerful. Because beneath this peaceful surface is a terrifying idea. Freedom isn't a destination. It's a conflict. Let's talk about Eren more deeply here, because this episode is where his character truly fractures. Early Eren dreamed of freedom in simple terms. Kill titans, leave the walls, see the world, but now he understands something far more disturbing. The walls were never the cage. Humanity itself is. As long as someone exists who sees you as an enemy, your freedom is conditional. And that realization destroys the innocence of his dream. Eren doesn't celebrate the ocean because it proves that the world is bigger than the walls. He mourns it because it proves the enemy is bigger too. Freedom now has a cost, and that cost is blood. Not Titan blood, human blood. Meanwhile, Mikasa stands beside him, quietly watching. She doesn't fully understand what Eren sees, but she feels the shift. Mikasa has always defined her world through Eren, and in this moment, that world starts to drift somewhere she can't follow. There's a subtle sadness in her expression, like she knows this is the last time things will ever feel simple. And then there's Levi. Levi doesn't say much in this episode, because Levi never says much. But his presence is heavy. He's lost nearly everyone. Erwin, Hange's squad, the old scout regiment. This victory came at an unbearable cost, and Levi knows better than anyone that surviving doesn't mean winning. When he looks at the ocean, it's not wonder he feels, it's exhaustion.
You're like a little kid who won't listen to reason.
Eren, just leave him be, all right?
At least Mikasa acted like an adult out there. I saw her give up in the end.
Jeez, what the hell's wrong with you two? Hey, Flock. Let's not do this during a memorial for our fallen comrades.
What's done is done, so there's no sense in dredging it up again.
As for you two, you might not have acted against your superiors, but you didn't try to stop Eren and Mikasa either. You didn't do anything but watch. Medals? For what? A memorial for who? When you guys start rebuilding the Survey Corps, you better tell your recruits the truth. Or else you'll just end up with cowards like me in the ranks. What the hell are we supposed to do now that we've lost Erwin? I know that I'm just fodder. I understand that my life is expendable, but still, I should get to call it like I see it. And to decide if this cause is worth dying for.
I think Flock is right. Commander Erwin's the one who should have been saved. Maybe he could have turned this situation around. I can't, though.
How can you be so sure of that? I don't know what choice was right, so I won't pretend to. None of us know what the future might hold. I mean, we can barely imagine. Think about it. If we rode straight from Wall Maria, what would we find? The sea. Yeah, that's right. We'd find the sea. A place we've only dreamed about. Water that glows like fire, fields of ice, giant rocks that take days to climb. How can we be sure of anything when there's so much we haven't seen yet? On the other side of the wall, freedom is...
All right, you brats. It's time. Line up.
What did we find?
The kind that settles into your bones and never really leaves. What makes this episode especially fascinating is how it reframes everything that came before it. All those sacrifices, all those deaths, they weren't for peace, they were for knowledge, for the truth. And now that the truth is out, the question becomes painfully simple and impossibly hard at the same time. What do you do with it? Because knowing the truth doesn't automatically make things better. Sometimes it makes them worse. The episode ends without a real conclusion, and that's intentional. There's no villain defeated here. No clear path forward. Just a group of young soldiers standing at the edge of the world, realizing that their childhood dream was only the prologue to a much darker story. And that's why episode 22 of season 3 is so important. It's the moment Attack on Titan stops being about Titans. It's about war, about cycles of hatred, about whether freedom can exist in a world built on fear. About how dreams change once you understand their consequences. For a YouTube recap, this episode is gold because it invites conversation. It doesn't tell the audience what to think. It asks them to sit with discomfort, to question Eren, to sympathize with him, to fear him a little. Because from this point on, Attack on Titan isn't asking, how do we survive? It's asking, what are we willing to become in order to be free? And standing there, at the edge of the ocean, Eren Yeager already knows the answer. He just hasn't said it out loud yet. And that, my friends, is where the real story begins. So here's the strange thing about Season 3 Episode 22. By all traditional storytelling rules, this episode should be a victory lap. Wall Maria is reclaimed, the enemy inside the walls is gone. The truth of the world has been uncovered. If this were any other anime, we'd get dramatic music, a flag rising in slow motion, maybe even a speech about hope and the future. Someone would shout, "Humanity has won," and the screen would fade to white. Instead, Attack on Titan gives us awkward silence. And that silence is not accidental. It's the point. When the scouts move beyond the wall, there's no grand formation, no cheering crowds behind them.
Find in that cellar. Was it hope? Or was it just despair? Our enemy is tremendously powerful. If nothing changes for the better soon, that calamity will only repeat itself. I'd give up my life in a heartbeat if I was certain that in doing so, I could make a difference. But I'm not about to sacrifice Historias. I can't tell anyone about this. So, what should I do?
I'm an Eldian who came from beyond the walls. I'm a subject of Ymir, just like all of you. King of the Walls, I beg you, kill the Titans attacking Wall Maria. Please, before my wife and children before thousands of your people are eaten alive.
Eren?
Hanji's executioner from Hell, which had been crushing Titans day and night, went silent just as the snow began to stick. Months later, when the snow started melting, the military formally announced that Wall Maria had been cleansed of Titans at last. By the time the elevators on Trost's walls were freed for use, and work had begun on paving the main road, there were flowers in bloom, and butterflies dancing between them. Maria's refugees were finally permitted to return to their homes. Roughly a year after what had been called humanity's first victory in Trost. And so, 6 years after the Colossal Titan's first devastating attack, the Scouts resumed their expeditions, exploring the world beyond the walls once again.
It's just as you thought, Hanji. Most of the Titans had already gone inside Wall Maria. We've all but wiped them out, and it only took us a single year.
Then let's push straight forward.
Nobody is waving goodbye. Nobody is crying tears of joy. The world doesn't feel like it's celebrating their success, because deep down, everyone knows this success doesn't mean safety. It just means the rules have changed. This is especially clear in how the characters don't talk about the dead. Think about it. Erwin Smith, one of the most important figures in the entire series, has just died. Hundreds of soldiers were sacrificed in the charge against the Beast Titan. Entire generations of scouts were erased so that this moment could exist. And yet, no one gives a speech about them. No dramatic memorial. No emotional breakdown. At first, this feels almost disrespectful. But then you realize something far more unsettling. They don't mourn because they don't know how. Mourning implies closure. It implies that the deaths meant something final. But standing here, looking at the ocean, the survivors realize that the war isn't over. The sacrifice wasn't the end, it was just the entry fee to a much larger nightmare. How do you grieve when you're not even sure what those lives were spent for yet? Levi embodies this better than anyone. Levi is a man who has lost so many people that grief has become routine. And in this episode, he doesn't allow himself the luxury of reflection. He keeps moving, he keeps watching, because if he stops, the weight of it all might finally crush him. His silence is survival. Now let's connect this to the ocean scene again, because this is where the absence of celebration becomes emotionally brutal. Everyone else treats the ocean like a reward, something earned, a gift at the end of suffering. But Eren doesn't smile, and that lack of joy feels almost offensive at first, like he's ruining the moment. But Eren understands something the others don't yet. This victory has no audience. Beyond the sea, nobody is applauding humanity for surviving. Nobody cares that they reclaimed their wall. In fact, the world beyond the ocean would prefer they didn't exist at all. So celebrating here feels inappropriate, almost naive. This reframes the entire concept of winning. What does victory even mean if the people you're fighting don't acknowledge your humanity? If the outside world sees your survival as a threat instead of an achievement?
Exactly as we planned.
A Titan! So one actually showed up? Let's take a look!
It's over there.
Doesn't look like it can move much.
Even with those limbs, it still tried to drag itself to the wall, bit by bit.
Hey, careful!
It was shipped to paradise, which means it's a fellow patriot. Let's go. We're close.
Just hang on! Is it okay to leave this here? Shouldn't somebody kill it? Shit!
I'm sure of it. This is the place where they turn the Eldians Titan. Which means just up there.
In that context, celebrating feels like lying to yourself. And this is where Attack on Titan does something incredibly bold. It denies the audience emotional release. Viewers have waited years to reach this moment. Years of deaths, betrayals, mysteries, and trauma. And when we finally get there, the show refuses to give us catharsis. It withholds satisfaction, forcing us to feel the same unease the characters feel. That emotional discomfort is intentional. The story wants you to realize that answers are not the same thing as peace. Another subtle but powerful detail is how the horizon is framed. When the ocean appears, it's wide, open, endless. No walls, no barriers. Visually, it represents total freedom. But narratively, it functions as the opposite. The horizon isn't an invitation, it's a warning. Everything beyond it is unknown, hostile, and morally complicated. The world is bigger, yes, but that also means the hatred is bigger. For Eren, the horizon isn't where freedom begins. It's where responsibility begins. And that's terrifying. This is why the episode feels like a quiet funeral instead of a celebration. Not for the dead, but for the idea of simple freedom. The freedom Eren dreamed of as a child, running beyond the walls, fighting monsters, protecting his friends, that version of freedom dies here. What replaces it is something heavier, something darker. Freedom that must be taken from others. Freedom that demands choices with no clean outcomes. In retrospect, this absence of celebration is the final warning before the story crosses a moral point of no return. The series is telling us, gently but firmly, if you're cheering right now, you're not paying attention. And that's what makes this small, quiet detail so powerful. No speeches, no fireworks, just the sound of waves hitting the shore, indifferent to human suffering, reminding us that the world doesn't care who deserves peace. Standing at the ocean, the characters don't feel like heroes at the end of a journey. They feel like soldiers at the beginning of one they never wanted. And that emotional restraint, the refusal to celebrate, is Attack on Titan at its most honest and its most cruel.
Hey, Hanji, you shouldn't touch it. It might be poisonous.
You see, Eren? It's just like I told you. A body of water so big that merchants could spend their whole lives and still not get all the salt out. That's what I said we'd find. And now it looks like I was right.
Yeah. The sea. It's so damn big.
Yeah. Hey, it's like you said too. On the other side of the wall.
There's a sea. And just across that sea, freedom's waiting. That's what I always believed, at least. But I was wrong. I know what's waiting across this sea now. It's our enemies. Everything we've seen has been exactly as it was in my father's memories. Hey, if we did cross the sea, and we killed our enemies, after that, would we finally be free?
Thank you so much for watching this video on General Sansan Anime. I really appreciate you spending your time here and sharing this anime journey with me. If you enjoyed this reaction, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any upcoming videos. Your support truly means a lot and helps the channel grow stronger every day. I'll be back very soon with more exciting reactions, emotional moments, and unforgettable anime scenes for all of us to experience together. Until next time, take care, keep enjoying anime, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.